even after today is over, there are lots of things you can do. And there are sort of 3 separate sort of events and types of events that you can do. We have online lectures, which are going on at 11 in the morning on Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. And then we have stargazing, which is happening both indoors and outdoors. So you can go out and look at the stars, or you can look at them at planetariums. And they're happening up and down the country, both in person and virtually. And they're happening from places such as London all the way up to Edinburgh. And we've also got some lively debates, which I know you're quite keen to get involved in, aren't you, Suzie? And one of those is, which is the best place to search for life beyond Earth? Mars versus Europa. So that's going to be a good match. And they are happening throughout Mars Week.
Fingers crossed for some clear skies if we're going to be doing some stargazing. I think it's actually going to snow this week, but we'll see.
Wrap up on.
That's always the challenge with stargazing. We're coming to the end of Mars Hour. We hope you've had a good time with us. I hope you've kept us on in the background and been involved in some of the things that we've been showing you. I know that many schools have been doing activities and we've been monitoring the social media feed for this and have seen what's going on. The resources will stay on the website, marsday.org.uk. So if you want to come back to this another time with your teacher or at home and find some more resources, they're all available there for you and they'll remain there. You can have a go at Mars Day activities throughout the year. Why is it just a day? Why can't it be a year?
Or even a day, an hour, a week. We're just extending it out. And and a big shout out to Richard Lodge School, where their year 8 and year 10 are getting involved with Mars Hour, and we hope you have been too. Oh, we've only got about a minute left, and what is that? And I think it's 36.968 seconds that we've got left to be precise. But yes, there is lots going on, and even when Mars Hour is over, there's going to be lots happening here on Mars Day, isn't there?
Yeah, tell us a bit about what happens this afternoon.
So we are about to go into some panel sessions where we're going to be meeting some hidden heroes. But then what we do is we go and meet our guest planet, which Mars has, very kindly invited along. So we're going to be meeting people working on Jupiter and finding out about their latest mission to discover what is going on there.
The JUICE mission that's going to be launching in April. So we're going to hear all about that. Live from Kourou, I think, live from
French Guiana, yes.
Which is the European Space Agency's spaceport. So looking forward to that this afternoon. But before we get there,
I think that might be it.
Might be the end of Mars Hour. Thanks for joining us.
The end of Mars Hour for 2023. I hope you have enjoyed yourselves. I hope you've been Marsing away. Give yourselves a big round of applause if you have. You've been done an excellent job. Well done. But of course, Mars isn't just for an hour.
It is not. Also, just want to say thanks for everyone that sent messages in. Lots of questions for Tim Peake throughout that series. So I couldn't even ask anywhere near all of those questions. But thank you so much again. Really appreciated those questions coming through.
They're loving it. We've got so many tweets coming in from you. We've got Fordyce Primary School, where they're just looking absolutely fascinated with Tim talking. And how can you not be? Like, that man, the amount of information that just comes spilling out of his mouth is absolutely brilliant.
But for now, I think it's time to move on.
It is, and we're going to meet some hidden heroes soon, but before that...
Yes, I would like to welcome Ingmar Kamalagharan. Ingmar, are you there?
I am here.
Excellent, great stuff. So you work for the UK Space Agency. Why don't we start out just by finding out a little bit more about what you do?
Yes, well, thank you very much for having me. So yes, I work for the UK Space Agency. I work for a team with probably one of the best titles of any job that you'll ever find, which is the Inspiration Team. We are the Inspiration Team. What a great title to have. So we've got quite a few jobs, but really the main ones are making sure all of the young people out there, so all you guys have been doing the Mars Hour activities, all the teachers, all the parents, everybody out there really understands that we have a huge space sector in the UK. We've got so many different companies, we've got so many opportunities, we're involved in so many incredible space missions, and they have a huge impact on everyone's lives. So it's really important that we try and help everyone understand that. And of course, because we have such an incredible space sector in the UK, it means there are lots and lots and lots of opportunities, lots of jobs. We need people to come and fill lots of these different kinds of jobs. So I really want to make sure that all the young people out there understand that there's a career that you could maybe have if you're really interested in space. Lots of different kinds of careers, and I think that's what the sessions coming up are really going to be about. So that's my job.
That's fantastic. And so how did you get into working for the UK Space Agency? What was your journey?
My journey. So I started by studying astronomy. So I've got my kind of a picture behind me, which kind of looks out into the universe. Really, I was really fascinated. I wanted to know, when I looked up in the sky, what is out there? What is it all? What does it mean? I had so many questions. I really wanted to know what our place in the universe was, and I went and studied astronomy. I got to look through telescopes and look at galaxies, look at objects, look at some of the incredible exploration missions going out into the planets, and really understand what those planets, where they came from, what are they made of, all of those really exciting questions. And then I actually didn't realize that I could have a career in space. I kind of came to the end of my course, and there really wasn't a lot of information about what I could do next. And I became a musician instead. So that was a very different,
I love
very
it.
different pathway. But I've kind of finally come back round, and that experience, that kind of experience of me not really knowing what to do next, is really why I'm so passionate about making sure everyone knows. That's a really key thing for me.
We talked to Tim Peake earlier, as we mentioned, and we see the astronauts as kind of the pinnacle of all of this, and we see them so often in the news, and we read about them, and they're, for many people, they're our heroes. But they don't do that in isolation, do they? And I guess that's what you're getting at here, is all of the industry that supports these really high-profile people.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, so we have 3 new astronauts, and of course we have Tim. So that's 4 people in the UK, but there are 47,000 people working in space, including me, including you.
Yes.
Lots and lots and lots of different people. So absolutely, we see astronauts kind of as that pinnacle, as that kind of, that is the job most people think of. When they think of, if I'm going to work in space, I'm going to be an astronaut. But actually, there are so many different kinds of jobs. You could be building things, you could be making spacecraft, you could be making instruments, you could be studying the data that those spacecraft and instruments produce. You could be informing all of the people on the planet about really important things in their lives, like the weather, and all those kinds of crazy things we use space for. Even when you turn on a light switch in the morning, you are, in a slightly strange way, you're using space. There are people who operate and track and project manage, and even lawyers. So there's this huge variety, and if that's something you're interested in, then there is a pathway for you. Pretty much anything that you're kind of excited about studying will possibly lead you into a space career. But we know that about 3/4 of the jobs are STEM background, so they are STEM related. So they are the vast majority, and so having that background, having those subjects, is going to be really important for most of the jobs, but not all of them.
Yeah, that's really interesting, isn't it? That we, STEM, obviously science, technology, engineering, and maths, those subjects are critical, and they teach you some really amazing skills that we need in the space industry. And if we look at job adverts across the space industry, we find people are asking for those kind of skills. But like you say, there might be somebody that has studied psychology, for example, and gone in a different direction. Absolutely. And now we're looking at the psychology of living and working in space. And we need somebody with that expertise to come and be part of our industry. Space law is a great one, isn't it? A really growing area where we desperately need to be moving forwards, especially with the technology development that's going on right now. And we need people who understand law, the legal system, policy, to come and work with us on designing the future of space that we want to see. And you know, these are things that traditionally you wouldn't have said, oh, you're going to get a job in the space industry. You've just done a law degree or whatever. But we need these people.
You're absolutely right. You know, the space environment, when we think about space sustainability, or we think about sustainability on Earth first, don't we? We kind of think, you know, about recycling, we think about climate change, we think about the weather and stuff. But actually, the space environment itself is a place we need to sustain. And if we're sending, you know, probes and rovers to other planets like Mars, like we do on Mars, we actually also need to think about what are we doing. You know, we're impacting that planet a little bit. We could be bringing things with us that's going to have an impact on that planet. But all of these things are really, really important. We use frequencies of radiation. We use kind of radio frequencies and microwave radiation to do all of our communicating and our sensing from space. And if you imagine all of those signals kind of bouncing around, there's a finite amount of this frequency spectrum, as we call it, that we can use, and we have to work out a way of sharing that. You know, lots of different companies use it, lots of different scientists use it. We have to share that equally. So yeah, the law framework is such a fascinating kind of thing.
And in terms of these different jobs that they're out there, like I know, Suzie, you were saying that people look at the astronauts and they go, oh wow, that's the pinnacle. But some people might be looking at the, you know, an astronaut and go, that is not something that I want to do. Like, even if I love space. And there just seems to be this ongoing message that doesn't matter. If you are interested in space, then no matter what your other interests might be, there will be a role for you somewhere in the space industry. And so where could these young people and potentially, you know, career changers go to look at what sort of careers are out there and what might be coming up? Because of course the landscape, I can imagine, of the UK space industry is changing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really hard to kind of plot your pathway. You know, you think about the things that you're really interested in, and then, you know, what do I do next? So yes, this is something that, as the UK Space Agency, we are part of the Inspiration team, this is something we're working on at the moment. There are places you can go right now. There are websites like spacecareers.uk. That's a place where you can get lots of really, really good information. You can also go to ESRO's website, so ESRO and STEM Learning, who are running Mars Day for us today. Go onto that website. There's lots of really good information on there. And places like the National Space Academy, which is part of the National Space Centre, they also have some really amazing information on there. The key thing is asking questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to look up companies. There are 1,300, so about 1,300 companies, organisations, institutions, universities in the UK that have, you know, space in their DNA. They are doing things. They could be building satellites, or they could be doing research. They could be studying. So don't be afraid to do a bit of research. Go online, look up those companies, pick up the phone, go across there, email them, ask questions. And we've got lots and lots of programs actually from the Space Agency, like our internship program, and lots of challenges. There's all the exciting challenges like CanSat, like Mission X, that ESRO run for us. And all of those are brilliant because you will learn lots of really cool space skills, like working in a team, but you'll also meet real space professionals. You'll get to ask questions. And you'll get to learn a little bit more about the kinds of careers you could have. So for the moment, the key thing really is don't be afraid to go and do a bit of research and ask questions.
And for people looking towards the UK Space Agency, we actually play quite a major role in manufacturing of satellites, for example. Can you tell us a bit more about what the landscape looks like in the UK?
Goodness me, yes. So we, well, before SpaceX came along, and they're putting up lots and lots and lots of satellites.
Yeah. But if we ignore them,
we ignore them because Starlink is just so many satellites. But we build probably about a quarter of the satellites that are in orbit, and they do lots and lots of different jobs. They could be communication satellites, they could be providing the internet, they could be providing communications for aeroplanes, looking after, making sure they're safe, and ships, weather satellites, Earth observation satellites, all of these really, really important things. We build them right here, and we also build things like the solar orbiter. We build instruments like MIRI that went on, is out there in Mars at the moment, and all kinds of other things in between, components and parts that go on lots of different missions. So yes, there is so much opportunity here. And now we're going to be launching rockets. We're going to actually be launching things from the UK. And so there are companies, there are universities looking at new kinds of propulsion. So the future is, there's so much opportunity, and all of those skills, those future skills we need. And you guys watching this right now, it could be you. It could be you. The one other thing I really want to say as well is, it doesn't matter if you're a girl or a boy or whatever your background is. This is one of the biggest misconceptions that we have. I went and taught a class of kids, and we were looking at Tim Peake's mission. We were looking at the amazing things that we do in space, and she said, "It's a shame girls can't be astronauts."
They can.
Can you believe it? Can you believe it? And of course they can. And they can be much more than astronauts.
Yes.
They can be engineers.
They can be space scientists.
They can be space scientists. They can do absolutely. So you can do absolutely anything. So please, please, don't feel like space is not for you for any reason.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the only reason that space shouldn't be for you is that you don't like it. That is it.
Yes.
But of course, who doesn't like space?
Yes.
And I suppose on that note, and on that nod to the future, you've got these generations that are coming up that are going to go into the workforce, and quite rightly, their focus is on sustainability. And I know you were saying that you've got to look at sustainability on the planet, but also sustainability of the universe, no big feat there. But also these satellites that the UK Space Agency is so heavily involved in, and the UK Space Agency. Do those satellites help us with sustainability on the Earth? Are they monitoring it in some way? Are there green jobs, are there environmental jobs within the space industry?
Yes, absolutely. For example, so climate change and climate science, this is really one of the most important things we're doing right now. It's such a big topic. It's something everyone's probably learning about in school. Around half of the measurements that we need to take in order to understand the climate on Earth properly have to be taken from space. That's how important space is in kind of that sustainability. And that's just kind of looking at climate change in general, when we're looking at things like how birds migrate, how animals migrate, how forests develop, are they being cut down, are they being looked after properly? When we look at the coastlines and the way the coastlines are eroding, the temperatures of the seas, all of those things, there's so many different kinds of sustainability related, green related jobs in space, and of course in actually looking after the space environment. So we are partnering with a number of companies that are looking at, how do we go and fix satellites that are broken? How do we go and retrieve them? How do we prevent collisions happening in space that could affect things like the International Space Station and all kinds of important things like that? So yes, absolutely, it's such a big topic.
Fantastic. Gosh, we could talk to you all day about this.
We could.
It's so interesting. But I'm afraid I think that we are running out of time here.
We are, and we're about to thank you so much for joining us. It's been
pleasure,
fascinating to hear your journey, your slightly left field and then back.
I love that you're a musician, actually. I think that's a really great thing to share with people. You didn't have a linear journey. And
but it also shows as well, like there is
exactly.
there's in our heads, and I know it might have happened, when we were younger, and as you just said, it's still sort of being ingrained in people. There's this stereotypical space is really difficult. It's only for those certain students, but you can have other interests. You can be into other things and still be very excellent at a space-based job, and
Absolutely.
we're going to need so many people, aren't we?
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
Great. Thank you, Ingmar, so much again for joining us and giving up
My
your time
pleasure.
today. Good luck with your mission to speak to everybody in the UK about the future of space. So we wish you all the best.
You'll see me soon, I'm sure. And
Absolutely.
thank you both.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So,
Thank you.
where are we going next?
We are